that's a good question. I'm sure everyone has sort of quite personal reasons for doing it, and mine sort of equally so in a way. I grew up in the northeast of England, in Teesside, somewhere that used to be all about manufacturing and engineering, and it's had huge decline in its manufacturing base, huge decline in the number of jobs available for people. And it's an area where everybody who goes on to further education tends to leave and not come back, and it's an incredibly depressing thing. There's a sort of just lack of opportunity and aspiration. And that's when I was young, at school and at sixth form college, that was the thing that I just felt more strongly than anything else.
You'd find that we were having to deal with layer upon layer of new bureaucracy, and after a while you think, well, I'm doing something, but if I want to actually change it, I have to be part of that system of change, and I have to be a lawmaker. I don't have an option to become a judge, really, so becoming a politician was a thing. And the thing I love about politics is that you can meet people and you have access to hear their stories, just learn about their lives, and if you can, try and help them and effect change in some way. Our economy is the absolute #1 issue. We all know that. There's an enormous deficit. We've been we're in a worse state than we have ever been. And if we don't do something about it, the effect is going to be on you and me, on people who are paying their mortgages. Mortgage rates are just going to rocket.
If our finances are in a mess, we don't have the money to invest in schools, to support our military. So I think that sorting out the economy is the biggest issue that we need to get on top of right now.
People are saying that we have got to make cuts and we've got to do them quickly. The good thing, well, it's sad for us as taxpayers, is that New Labour has been so incredibly wasteful and has run a government which is not at all on good business principles, that there's a lot of waste that can be cut out very quickly.
We need to have funding for the NHS so that we can raise standards of care, so that we can compete with the rest of the world in terms of cancer care, where we lag behind at the moment. We need investment in our schools, we need better teachers.
Everybody worries about going into hospital. It's not a nice situation because your health is at risk and you're very vulnerable. If you have on top of that, you're worrying about, am I going to be fed properly? Is somebody going to look after my personal hygiene needs? Are people going to contact my family? Am I going to be treated with respect? That just adds to the stress.
People have been telling me on the doorstep that they're even afraid of having to go to Tameside Hospital, and they'd rather go to nearby Stepping Hill in our neighbouring borough. There are problems in the NHS, which David Cameron's been talking about, and I think that there are perfect examples of it locally here. Examples where money isn't getting to the front line and people aren't really being taken care of. It's not a question of the hospital not ticking the right boxes and doing the things that Labour want them to do, because they're meeting the targets, and they're meeting some targets that other hospitals aren't. But people don't feel like the hospital is really taking care of people.
I've been to a public meeting about this, and I don't feel that the management team are doing what they ought to do. That meeting, there was a lot of obfuscation, there was a lot of sort of trying to blind people with science, almost bore everybody at the meeting with, oh, well, we do this because, and we do that because, and lots of box ticking. And that's what you find all over the NHS, really over a lot of public services. It's, as long as we tick the box, then we can put somebody and shunt them off to somebody else, then it's all fine. But, like we've just said, going into hospital is a very stressful experience, and it needs to have at least part of the stress taken away. The mortality rates are completely unacceptable, and they need to be brought down.
Tameside General's had it. The hospital, the mental health, and the hospital itself. out of 100%, it's got 4% out of 100.
Your council tax, what's going on in the town centres, like all these lampposts and everything that we don't agree to. Public spending, really. They're spending more money than they've got.
And that's what the hospital is. It's put up and shut up. We're load, all we are at that hospital is guinea pigs. We're a lot of guinea pigs, walking guinea pigs.
And this is a hidden issue because you have people who are full-time, long-term unemployed, but you also have people who have had to take pay cuts and reduce their hours, and you have a lot of young people who are out of work or not in education or training, but they're not claiming any benefits because it's their parents or other relatives who are looking after them. So even if you're not part of the official statistics, you are disenfranchised and put apart from the general public, and that is something that's come up a lot, especially, as I said, when I've been talking to younger people.
I've been out of a job now for a hell of a long time. Struggle getting work. I did find a part-time job, then was told that I wouldn't get any help for it. Went to the job centre and they said, well, it was my own fault because I picked a part-time job instead of a full-time job.
Well, I couldn't understand that. But that was the only job you could get, a part-time job?
Yep. That was the only job I could get.
And then they said that you hadn't helped yourself?
Yeah. I should have just had a full-time job or stayed on job seekers because I ended up worse off.
So that is really, what you're telling me is you're being encouraged not to go out and work,
Yep.
but just to stay on benefits?
Well, that's it. So many are at the job centre.
Stadybridge and Hyde needs a change like the whole country needs a change from Labour. But it doesn't just need a change, it needs an absolute fresh start, something that's a completely new beginning.
I think I'll be the best Member of Parliament because I'm part of the best team. David Cameron has shown himself to be a fantastic leader. He can make good decisions and he always has the interests of the country at heart.
David Cameron's consistently shown himself to be on the ball with issues, such as expenses issues. He was there before Brown. Brown was very quiet about it. Cameron was on the ball, he acted, he was decisive. And that's what you wanted a Prime Minister ultimately.
In all my encounters with him, he's an incredibly passionate man. He is incredibly straightforward. He knows the problems facing our country, and he's absolutely got the mettle to face the problems, to make the difficult decisions that need to be made on the deficit, on the health service, and supporting families.
I think they're the only party that will help the small businesses, and so many people are suffering in this recession. They need as much help as they can get, and to me they're the only ones that can help.
I think David Cameron has shown himself from when he became leader. First of all, he is a very empathetic person. Very much has been made about his background. But I think for people who've met him, and if you see him in interviews, he is somebody who just engages.
Give Mr Cameron a good shot. Mr Cameron is like me, he's a cyclist.